Hello everyone, and today we're going to be discussing quite a big drama that has been going on in what remains of #Gamergate recently. And it's dragged on for about, I'd say 2 weeks maybe. And this is the story of two sides. In the blue corner, we have Cult of Vivian, Lower Ping, Otter Jesus, etc. Loads of different people who you will most likely recognise who object to things about the people in the red corner who object to people in the blue corner. And in the red corner is the Ralph Retort, Wild Goose, Liberal Lunacy and several others who again you will recognise. Now you're probably wondering, Mitch, it's just Cult of Vivian versus Ralph again. It's nothing new. Well, sadly, this is something new. Yes, the old rivalry has been rekindled, but this has to be discussed because things are getting real. Shit is getting real. Now, as a disclaimer, I have tried to be as objective as possible, but as events have been explained to me by both sides, and I've seen things from other people and from my own experience just being on Twitter, seeing what's going on, some of you may find it biased, some of you may find it spot on. But I tried to hear both sides of the argument, and now I have made my own opinion on this. So, without further ado, roll the intro.
Hello everyone, this is ChampionMan90. Damn it, I can't see a thing in this.
So, I think we need to discuss the background to all this. What happened to cause this recent round of drama in Gamergate, which seems to be all it is now? I'm going to go in a quick aside here and just say that this is just a shame that it's all infighting now. There's no attempts to be the watchdog that it's claiming to be. Nothing's getting done. Nothing has been done since SPJ Airplay. We've been rapidly derailed for reasons I might discuss later on, but let's get back on topic. So, the background to all of this. This is going quite further in the past than some of you may believe. Now, I have had many eyewitness testimonies and DMs with loads of people on either side, and I have heard the same things cropping up. Basically, last month there was some drama as usual, and basically Otter Jesus and Ralph Retort and many others were at it, and basically Otter Jesus reposted some comments that Ralph was making on his chat on YouTube. He was just shitposting him, and some of the things he said were not very nice, as you can see here in this photo right here. And Cult of Vivian just so happened to favourite this, which caused Ralph to go into a fit of rage, and the rivalry was resumed for round 2. As you can see in these series of tweets here, Ralph is getting very angry and very pissed off, not just with Vivian, but with loads of people, including the likes of Kathy Young. So that is why they've been at each other's throats for so long. And then, what happened is quite tragic. Very tragic. Basically, a member of Gamergate and #NotYourShield, Lily Feng, tragically killed herself by throwing herself in front of a train. And what happened after this was that the family asked for privacy on Twitter, and Cult of Vivian and Oliver Campbell were the ones who broke the news to the community. Now, this angered some people over in the Ralph's circle of friends, shall we say. Wild Goose especially, who accused Cult of Vivian of basically using this for attention. Also, Campbell was accused of attention too, and this basically created the drama in the first place, the two sides having a go at each other. Campbell and Vivian claimed that they had complete permission from the family to break the news to the Lee Fang's friends on the internet and Gamergate, because it's information that I think a lot of people who had met her or followed her on Twitter would have wanted to hear. That's what they were saying. While Wild Goose and the Ralph Retort people thought that this was nothing but an attention-seeking move to garner more followers and sympathy. But is it? Let's look at the tweets. Now, being the utter gentleman that I am, ladies may go first, and let's take a look at Cult of Vivian's tweet here. And this is what she has to say. I have unfortunate news. I was hesitant to post about it publicly, but some of you may be affected and should know what's happened. Lily Feng, who some of you knew on Twitter as at the last maybe, passed away on Sunday morning. She was 19 years old, and posts a link to her local news network's webpage where there was an article about her death. Vivian then says, I was fortunate enough to meet Lily along with her boyfriend Ash Effect in person at a meetup. I fangirled. You may have known Lily from seeing her kick ass online from time to time through hashtag Gamergate and hashtag not your shield. So immediately, several things stick out here, don't they? There's no apparent wording that suggests that there's some kind of attention-seeking motive behind Vivian's words. If anything, she's just relaying some information that she has told everyone that she has permission to say. But if we were to go to what Wild Goose has been saying in his article, we would paint a very different picture. And before we get to Oliver's tweets, let's just take a quick look at Wild Goose's article, shall we? And this is on the Ralph Retort. And it starts with a disclaimer by the Ralph himself. This post was written by a member of my editorial staff. Since I put no restrictions on my writers, I'm bringing you the piece as it was written. Well, we know you're a free speech advocate, Ralph. No need to put that disclaimer. Surely you would want to put a disclaimer that says, my writers do not necessarily reflect my views. But never mind, let's just continue. Lillian Feng, also known as Not the Last Maybe on Twitter, her boyfriend goes as Ash Effect, as we know, was killed on Sunday, January the 10th, after being struck by an Amtrak train. Witnesses said she was deliberately standing in the middle of the tracks in order to commit suicide. And honestly, if I had a backstabbing manipulative friend, like Cult of Vivian, I'd probably want to stand in front of a speeding train too. Harsh words already, and immediately we have a completely different idea. We have a completely different look. We have a series of tweets relaying news, and yet we have an article about this, which isn't made in the way that the local news network made it, which obviously is a proper news reporting website. It reports the news, the facts. This is a tabloid. At least that's what Ralph would like you to think it is, but let's go by tabloid, shall we? This is a tabloid hit piece, people. Whether you like it or not, this is a hit piece. This is nothing to do with Lillian Feng so much as it is to do with Cult of Vivian. And let's just say that making a joke about wanting to kill yourself is not the best thing to do to start off your article and to get people on board. And then he continues, Lily's boyfriend made this series of posts after learning of what happened to her. It's understandable that after such a traumatic loss, somebody would ask for privacy and respect as they grieve. But after hesitating to post the incident, Cult of Vivian decided she couldn't resist being the centre of attention for much longer, so she posted about it anyways. Now, we will get to the permission soon. I know some of you don't like it when I say that, but fuck it, I'm not spoiling you. And he basically posts the tweet and then just says, look, attention seeking. There you go. See? Attention seeking. But what is attention seeking? If this is attention seeking, and I'm trying to see it from both sides here, I tried, but I genuinely just cannot see anything remotely attention seeking about this. There's no links to her personal YouTube page, there's no links to anything, there's nothing that could garner her attention other than people seeing the news. If anything, it garners attention for Lily Feng's death and a lesser extent of family, but as Goose does point out, they want privacy. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want sympathy. It's more of a case of being left alone, but are being thankful that people are with them. And then he continues, I really don't see what this young woman's suicide had to do with Gamergate, because she was part of Gamergate, Goose. That's why. But Cult of Vivian just can't help but make everything about herself. Keep in mind, it's hypocrites like this who constantly criticise the Bill Wagner crew for rip trolling. Nice double standard there, arsehole. Yeah, irony in that statement, Wild. Be sure to let Cult of Vivian know, he continues, how much of an opportunistic whore she is. Her unwarranted self-importance can only be kept in check if people constantly hold a mirror up to her unwashed, acne-ridden face. In the meantime, I have a condolence message from the Bill Wagner crew to Lily Feng's family I'd like to share below. And he posts a Simpsons thing. And then, happy early Valentine's Day, Lily, rest in peace. If only he truly meant it. But okay, we now have two arguments, and then I'm going to bring in Oliver Campbell's tweet. And this is Oliver, and he says, in case you didn't know who Lily Feng was, she showed her face and name when many wouldn't, and still won't. Goodbye. And he posts a link to his YouTube channel, but with the hashtag Not Your Shield video, with her in it. It's a timestamp. He's posting the timestamp. And then he continues and talks to some people and says to Monday Matt how she died, hit by a train, and then putting it together for those unaware, Lily Feng was with hashtag Gamergate and Not Your Shield from the start, deceased. Now, Goose on Twitter also mentioned Campbell, and Campbell did get a lot of flack for that too, because understandably so, putting a YouTube channel, even though you're just trying to show who she is kind of silly, because it makes it look like you are looking for people to sub to you, even though that's probably not the case, and that was probably a misunderstanding. But Cult of Vivian really wasn't doing this for attention. There's no wording there that makes it seem like Vivian wanted it to be about her. Wouldn't there be a lot more me, look at me, I used to know this person, blah 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 blah. Not much, really, at all. It's mostly about Lily Feng, the person who died. That's not an attention-seeking act, unlike writing an entire article making suicide jokes in it at really Vivian's expense, but it doesn't reflect well on you or in the memory of Lily Feng and the grieving family. And if only that little heartfelt bit at the end meant anything. But hey, you've now got two arguments, people. Do you believe Wild Goose, or do you believe Vivian and Campbell, who were being sincere and said that they had a permission, whereas Wild Goose thinks that they didn't have a permission? Well, Vivian and Campbell did have permission. Basically, things had gotten to the point where Ash basically had to come out and say things that had to be said. He had to clarify things that people needed to know. Was Vivian and Campbell telling the truth? Was Wild Goose and Ralph and everybody else telling the truth? And he made a post on Kotaku in Action. It's quite a long post, but I'll try and get through it as fast as I can and basically let it speak for itself. And this is what his post has to say. Hey everyone, this is the first and last time I'll post on Reddit. I've gotten a lot of condolences and I felt it was impolite not to respond, but I don't have the energy to do it one by one. So I'm going to do it here, as well as clear the air a bit on the issues. If you want proof that this is really me, here's a tweet from my original GG Twitter account, which is what I used before switching over to the account you guys are familiar with. I believe my face and the original videos are still on the account. Apologies, I don't want to put my face up right now. I haven't eaten or slept much since I got the news, and I spend every day lying in bed hugging Lily's clothes. I'm actually writing this on my iPad. First things first, Oliver and Viv did not betray my wishes. They were respectful and kind to me, as well as some of the other ones who waited before they knew it was okay making the incident public. I've had correspondences with Ralph before, and I tried not to join in on the bashing and drama that came afterwards because I felt that wasn't my business at all, but he and his writers now seem to feel that it's okay to use my loss to attack people who cared about Lily and I. Not to mention me directly. Let me settle the issue. Viv and Oliver did right by me. You can question the way they worded their tweets, but they didn't betray my wishes. The only privacy I asked for was in real life. Nobody's kicking in my door. Tweets to me were fine, which leads to my next point. Some of you may have wondered, I'm gone from Twitter. Yes, I deactivated. No, I won't be coming back. Some of you may be wondering if Ralph and Co had anything to do with it, maybe little. If they wanted to believe they drove me from Twitter and won a victory, they are free to feel that way. I don't have the energy to argue the point, because even if I win, I already lost by default. I've taken off time from work, but I don't think I'll be going back to it. I don't have it in me to be a doctor anymore. My friends trying to comfort me all say I've been like a big brother to them, that I'm their hero, and they want me to get through this. I don't feel like a hero at all. Lily was my princess, my angel, and I couldn't protect her. I was going to propose to her this year. We were planning a life together. I spent a large part of my 20s in third world countries, trying to help people in villages whose kids got illnesses, trying to be a big brother to kids who had leukemia, and helping a girl who told me she fell in love with me, but ended up dying anyway. I volunteered in free clinics and did all I could to help people who were homeless or down on their luck. I lost friends to illness, accidents, suicides, or ideology. I was abused and beaten by many friends and partners. Through all that, I always tried to act in good faith and treat people well. I always wanted the best for others, and I always wanted to try to do right by them. I never bragged about these things, never paraded them around like achievements, because I wanted to do these things. I honestly wanted to bring good to this world. I couldn't make it through all of it because I could hope for a small corner of happiness for myself. I was denied this hope. I thought I had earned a respite. You want to ask me how I feel? I feel cheated. My little corner was stolen from me. I did everything I could to be a good person, and in return, the world took away everything I treasured. This even made it to Gamergate, who has been surprisingly respectful. That's all Lily and I ever wanted. Honestly, people are always politicising hashtags, but Lily and I saw the hashtag as a community, not a political statement. Even if we disagreed with someone's politics, we still wanted the best for them, and for everyone to get along. In fact, I hope there are people on Gamergate reading this now. We just wanted everyone to get along. That was what Lily wanted. That's what I wanted. That's why we fell in love. Please, if you want to make this into a statement, make it this. We wanted everyone to be good to each other. We wanted everyone to be kind. I might check in on responses, but I won't reply to everything, blah blah blah. And then he says, with this, I say goodbye. I wish everyone all health and happiness Lily and I will never have now. Enough said, eh? Enough said. So, while Goose was wrong, the others were right. That should be the end of the drama, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Do you remember the accusation of Wild Goose and his cronies by Ashton attacking him? Yeah, attacking him. And then you saw at the end of Wild Goose's little article about how he wishes that she rests peacefully, blah, 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 all that bullshit. And he also said, how dare you accuse us of grave standing and troll baiting and, you know, using death as a troll device. How dare you? We're going to do it anyway. Yes, he did do that. That's why I said he was a bit hypocritical and ironic, and why the drama didn't suddenly end there. Despite this, despite all of this, what do you think Ralph and Goose did? Well, apart from Goose continuously sending pictures, you know, just take your pick, torrents and torrents of pictures of dead people who have killed themselves, mainly women, because it's topical. Lily killed herself, therefore the most obvious joke is women who committed suicide to Ashton and to members of the family and friends, because apparently it was funny. That's why. And they're totally not death trolling or whatever you call it. I'm sorry if I'm getting the words wrong, but I don't care. They're totally just having a laugh. It's just the way to deal with grief, isn't it? We're making them feel better, you know? Oh, crazy, isn't it? They only go and write 2 articles. One where Ralph addresses the issue and double downs on it, and then Goose writes an apology where he too double downs on it. But let's just read Ralph's first. And Ralph's article starts off with, my Twitter account is locked until 2:38 PM Eastern Standard Time, so maybe I will actually get some work done. First things first though, I need to talk about a few things. Many of you were upset with Wild Goose's post about the recent grave standing. Yeah, it's exactly what they were doing, Ralph. There's no need to put quotations there. That some people indulged in. To be quite honest, I understand that feeling. I wouldn't have written something like that myself, although I agree that using a death to prop up yourself as some moralistic character is pretty distasteful. I think there are always ways to talk about things like this, and ways not to. Cult Vivian and the RNK fell short, while someone like Oliver Campbell seemed to do a lot better. I can go ahead and let you know that Goose is going to publish something later on that contradicts what I just said. I imagine he'll be taking aim at many more people than I would. I'm still going to run it. Why? Let me explain it to you. We don't need you to explain why you're going to run it. We know you're a free speech advocate like the rest of us, and it's your site. You put on what you want to put on. But if you want to put on people who are just going to drag your site down in the dirt, go ahead. Be our guest. It's just top keck at this rate. And by the way, Ralph, are you sure that you don't entirely agree with what is about to be said in Wild Goose's post? We'll see. And apart from a few screenshots that we've already seen, and also showing that he has his account suspended, temporarily at least, and he says, first off, no one has ever been paid to write on this site except me. I don't have enough overhead to start paying people, therefore, the idea that someone should be fired is kind of fucking stupid. Well, you can still fire them even if they're working for free. You do know that, right? I guess it's laying off or something, I don't know. But, hey, I'm not calling for anyone getting fired, I'm just saying that you can do so. The people who write on this site do it as a favour for me, and as a way to get their name out there more. Even though I used the term editorial staff the other day, no one helps me with that sort of thing. I control the content here. Since I favour unfettered free speech, if one of my contributors writes a post, I will most likely run it, no matter what it says. There are limits, such as content that runs afoul of AdSense violations. Well, won't we be getting to that in a minute? But other than that, just about anything goes. I knew the Wild Goose post would ruffle feathers, but the amount of hate I have received is nonetheless staggering. I'm used to it by now, so it doesn't really bother me that much, but the sheer volume of it is rather amazing. Well, you see, Ralph, they've used the death of a girl to troll someone. They've used the death of a girl, who's younger than me, by the way, 19, to troll her grieving boyfriend. They're using it for their own nefarious means. Hell, even you have used it to some degree against Vivian. This is what people don't like. They don't like the idea of this grave standing that Goose and the BWC are doing, and you're letting them do it. People can't believe that you're allowing trolls to troll and get away with it. And this isn't just normal, getting a rise out of people. This is horrible trolling that goes too far. There's a limit, like you say. A limit that you crossed, eventually. And then he posts some bullshit screenshots about one of the many detractors that he got. I can't believe that he didn't expect such a backlash. In fact, if you talk to any of the people who are pro Ralph Retort, they can't believe that people would have such a strong backlash. Because, you know, suicide is a very touchy subject, and using suicide as an actual attention-seeking gimmick or as a way to bully people ruffles feathers, just to quote you, Ralph. Some of you may not realise this, they continue, but this site exists to push buttons, even among the regular readers. That's my role, triggering people. Some of you ask me why I let avowed trolls write for me. The simple answer is, they've proven to be more honest about what they're all about than the people on the Gamergate Plus side of things. The Gamergate Plus doesn't exist, Ralph. It's all in your head, okay? You're just using that as an insult. They're not Gamergate Plus, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. They're not social justice warriors. Sure, you may like to think of yourself as some kind of agent provocateur, but just like how Milo told Kate Swarthwaite, or whatever the fuck she's called, you're an agent provocateur that can't handle it. You can't handle the blowback. You are exactly the same. You can't handle it. You're surprised that this fucking vitriolic backlash is testament to that. And how are a bunch of trolls, especially a well-known doxer who doxed you, very honest? How are they more honest than the people who stood by you for at least 1 or 2 years, especially in Gamergate, during some high points and low points? How are they far more honest than someone like Game Diviner, or Kathy Young, or any of your other former friends? Hell, I reckon Game Diviner would gladly take you back in, but whatever. I've seen so much hypocrisy from my enemies and critics over the last year that I couldn't even begin to describe it in one article. I no longer care about pissing these sorts of people off. In fact, it gives me great pleasure. The same goons who criticise me are also the same exact people who spread my mugshot. Sure, you don't care about pissing them off, yet you're going to do it anyway, and then you're going to get annoyed when they piss you off. I mean, there's a reason why this 5'1" micro-penis meme joke has been so popular, because you can't handle it. You even, measured your height just to say, look, I'm 5'7", or however tall you are. Nobody cares. It's just a stupid high school joke that you took personally. Apparently, you can't handle it, yet you're going to dish out at people and say, oh, you can't handle it. But never mind. They're the people who put all sorts of lies about myself and this site and my friends. Yeah, your friends. It's still happening as we speak. The RalphRetort.com has been labelled as opinion from the start. I've never claimed to be a journalist, and I am almost certainly not neutral. You don't have to be neutral, and you never claimed to be a journalist, yet why do you keep using the term tabloid and using journalistic language like hits and all sorts of other bullshit if you're just a blogger? When I say I'm the editor-in-chief of this site, I make no claims that it is a journalist endeavour. I bring you news and drama with my spin on those events included. I respond to my enemies here in print, sometimes viciously. None of that will ever change. Then why do you call yourself editor-in-chief? Why do you use the language of a journalist instead of a blogger? Ralph, cut the bullshit and just straight up say you want to be a journalist, and that's fine by me. At least you're honest. Don't come attacking us for being dishonest if you can't be honest about wanting to be a journalist, okay? If something that's run here makes you uncomfortable, that's fine, ignore it. Or if it bothers you too much, stop reading the site. I understand that completely. One thing that won't happen though, is me being bullied into apologies or disassociations. That's one thing that has these fuckers so pissed. They're used to people bowing down and asking for forgiveness. And I've apologised in the past when I felt it was warranted. I may do so again if the situation calls for it, citation needed. However, hypocritical moral skulls will never hold any sway over me, and while I respect every single one of you who read the site, at the end of the day, I decide what gets posted. Yes, you do, but you haven't really proven how these people are hypocrites. How are they hypocritical? Just because they attack you? Because they disagree with you? The fact that some of them are genuinely worried that these trolls who doxed you, who now write for you, might have ulterior motives against you? I mean, there's a reason why this backlash has been so strong. Or whatever. It's just conspiracy at this point, isn't it? I thank you all of you for reading, as I always have. The comment section will remain lightly moderated. Lightly moderated? I thought you were for unfettered free speech. The only things that get deleted are AdSense violations, such as nudity or calls for violence. Fair enough. I just thought I'd make a snide joke there. Other than that, have at it. You can also email me at the RalphRetort at blah 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 blah. If you wish to discuss these things further, I don't care. Wild Goose will be writing something else today, as I mentioned. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's just pleasantries at that point. As you can see here, he's double downing. He's not apologising for the bullshit that Wild Goose is doing, or did do, as he's now had his account suspended, as I've just found out, which means the video's going to be longer, people. And he's unapologetic about what he posts on the site. That's fine. That's fine. But you know there's a limit. Not just with AdSense violations, but with good taste. I'm not saying you can't publish it, but at least think about others. I don't know, like, I'm all for freedom of speech, no matter what Lieutenant Sarge says, alright? I'm all for it, but surely there comes a point where you have to think, you know what, this is probably a bit too far. Like, not censor yourself, just do the right thing and think, you know what, this is bullying, this is something that's going to make things worse. I can't do this, you know? Or tell them to post it elsewhere, like on medium.com. But hey, whatever, we must move on. And now Wild Goose's little editorial, his guest editorial. Nicole Sund, also known as Cult of Vivian, I hope that's not doxing her, is an emotional manipulator who views her friends as collectible trading cards. It appears that Ashton Liu is no different. Citation needed, Wild Goose. Do you even know her well enough to even say that? Despite claiming to have been sapped of energy due to being so grief-stricken, Liu has come out of his state of grieving just long enough to take a swipe at the Ralph retort and double down on defining his ex-lover's life as a hashtag. The following screen cap is from his recent goodbye letter on Reddit, and he posts the opening paragraph where basically Ashton just completely destroys his narrative. He claims that I've used his loss to attack people, but just like Nikki Sund, he refuses to elaborate on how exactly my article did that. He's not just talking about your article. Your article was attacking Vivian herself. What he's on about is the constant photos that you have been showing to people, not just his friends, but his family and himself, because you want to troll them. Rip trolling, they call it, isn't it? You are rip trolling him. That is what he's talking about. It's almost borderline harassment, I'd say. Borderline. I don't want to go into SJW territory here, but that is exactly what you've been doing to him. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about your hit piece, per se. But we must continue, people. It's emotional manipulation, and if you dare call these people out for grey standing for the purpose of propagating a hashtag, Cult of Vivian and her Thirst Lords will say that you're using his loss, and nothing you say is relevant because my suicide. They weren't grey standing, and they weren't trying to propagate a hashtag. What? She used a hashtag because that's what Lily Feng was a part of. They're not. Her life was not the hashtag. Her life was Ashton, and obviously something happened that made her kill herself. That's besides the point. Nicole pushed this narrative out in order to earn herself another gold star in the Friendship Olympics. Or maybe she genuinely liked the couple and was very sad that someone had killed herself so young. This kind of flies in the face of the emotional ending to your last article, Goose. And then, again, he tries to peddle the thing that Ashton wanted complete and total privacy when he, again, says that he wanted IRL privacy, not necessarily wishes for him to get well and that people's thoughts are with him, but never mind, let's continue. Liu states that the only privacy he expected was in real life. How exactly is plastering your dead girlfriend's name all over the Twitter sphere respecting the Feng family's privacy? It was not plastered all over. It was a couple of tweets by a few people. It was not plastered over Twitter. It's not like your Twitter had mostly in real life friends on it, so no one would assume that you wanted no attention on Lily's death. Why did he delete his Twitter account then? At first I thought Oliver and Nikki were betraying your wishes, but clearly I was wrong. You really did give them explicit permission to use a dead girl's name to promote a hashtag. I thought a little higher review. Obviously that's my mistake. Now this is him backpedaling, but also kind of doubling down and changing his narrative. Originally it was, how dare they do this? He asked for privacy. But now it's like, oh, I was wrong. But clearly it's a propagator hashtag. What's wrong with Gamergate? What's wrong with it? Surely you'd want Gamergate around to trigger social justice warriors. Why are you so aggro about it? I guess it's just me. How can you even say that they're trying to propagate a hashtag? You can't even prove this. It's just all conjecture from you. You can't prove shit, Goose. Perhaps the most glaring problem with Ash's response is that he barely mentions Feng. In fact, he can't go a single paragraph without saying the word me or otherwise referring to himself. He even spends one of the largest segments of the post talking about how much of a virtuous hero he is. He was talking about his job and how he doesn't feel like a hero. He said he didn't feel like a hero, you stupid idiot. That is taking him out of context. That is a misrepresentation right there. Apparently only social justice warriors use fallacies, ladies and gentlemen, but hey, whatever. He mentions her quite a lot. I read it out to you people. It's on there. And it amazes me how his narrative changes. he can't even prove his basic argument, so he just flings any shit and hopes that it sticks. And don't worry, they'll do this a lot. I never bragged about these things. I never paraded them around like achievements until it came time to show off to random people on the internet. Am I right? No. Ashton Liu claims that Ralph Ritor's aim was to drive you from the internet, which is absolutely false. Really? It's kind of hard to not think that when he's basically getting a load of rip trolling horrible photos posted to him day in, day out that he has to delete his Twitter. But, you know, whatever. But make no mistake, experiencing loss doesn't give you a license to take verbal swipes at people without any sort of response. Well, just like you did. You're the one who drew blood first with that hit piece, remember? The name of this site should have been your first clue. Oh yes, you retorted to someone breaking the news of someone who died. That was a big front to you. They insulted you by saying Lily Feng died. That's making the first move. That's something to retort to. Pitch fuck off. That's the biggest sort of bullshit I've ever heard. And then he ends it with, Ashton is saying that he's leaving social media and discontinuing all posting to the Gamergate hashtag, much like Oliver Campbell did. But mark my words, he'll be back. Well, irony. Anyway, people, that is simply the beginning of the drama that I have covered. Be welcome to join me again in part 2 when we discuss when shit really does get real, as Netscape is doxed, liberal lunacy gets involved, and chat logs are leaked. So, until next time, I'll see you all later.